Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday and happy breakup day. Yay to all of those that are breaking up. So today I've got Mark Anderson with me from COA Academy, and I'm very, very excited because I have kind of looked at online learning and I've looked at homeschooling before, and I went, no. So welcome, Mark. Thank you for joining us.
Lynn,
You
thanks
are
so
on
much for
mute.
having me.
Awesome. Okay, so first of all, remember everybody, if you look at the bottom of the screen, I've got a 250 Rand Checkers virtual voucher that's up for grabs. So all you have to do is jump in the comments, join in the discussion. If you have anything that you want to ask Mark, you can just put into the question and we will be dealing with that. So let's pop up my banner. Today, we're going to be talking about busting online school myths. So Mark, I'm going to hit you with the hardest one first. I'm going to put you on the spot. And I'm going to tell you what my biggest kind of resistance is to homeschooling or, online schooling at home. And that is, I love Monday mornings, 8 a.m. when I get home and I've dropped my children off at school. Now, I love my children. I love them. But I often also like to love them from a very far distance and for a couple of hours at a time when they're gone. So what exactly can you tell me about this? Like, how can you help me? Do you suck them out of the screen so that they're gone, or?
Lynn, this is a good question. I think it connects to the question of, will I have to teach my own child? Like, how involved do I have to be and how much are we in each other's space? Do I have to sit next to them? Do I have to watch them the whole day? I've also got little kids, and I can say as well, I do enjoy a little bit of me time where somebody's not pulling on me or trying to take my food off my plate. So I do enjoy my own space as well. When it comes to online learning, this can either be done very well or it can be done very badly. And I think a lot of parents' experience of online schooling was set by their experience during lockdown, that first lockdown, where we all went online, whether you wanted to or not, whether the school was prepared or not. We all were thrust into this online environment. And for a lot of parents, that was a harrowing experience where they're now supervising their child 24/7. And actually, because the schools weren't equipped for it, they became their child's teacher as well. So now the parent is checking up, are you doing the work when you should be doing it? How do we hand that in? We even had stories of parents marking the child's work while they were trying to do their own work. So I think for a lot of parents, that first experience of online learning during lockdown was a negative experience because we weren't equipped for it as parents, as schools. What I can say about COA, which we're loving, is that it's created a space when online learning is set up well for the online space. It's created an opportunity for parents to be as involved as they want to be. So what we say to our parents is, your prerogative is to be a parent for your child, whatever that looks like. You can be in the house, you cannot be in the house. Somebody else can be doing childcare, you can be doing childcare. You can keep an eye on their academics during the day, you can step right back and let us take care of that. We're giving parents the opportunity to say, how would you like to position your family? And then we'll take care of the rest. We take care of the academics like any school would.
Mark, I think you've nailed it there. I was scarred. 2020, I was scarred. My daughter was in grade 3, so it wasn't too bad. She's very independent. I think one of the first things she started saying to me as a toddler, Lister, do self. Don't help her put her clothes on. Don't put her shoes on. Don't wipe her bum. She tried to wipe my bum. Don't wipe my bum. I'll wipe yours. So that was quite easy. She could read. She could write. Very independent. So it was tough, kind of getting into it. But my son was in grade 1. He couldn't read yet. He couldn't write properly. And that scarred me because the school just sent everything they would have sent at school. So we had to print everything out. I just stick it in a book. I spent an hour every morning just preparing for the lesson, printing, cutting, sticking, looking like, what am I doing? And then I think the one day we spent 5 hours, me and my son, and we weren't even halfway through, and we were both crying. I was crying like a 2-year-old. It was horrific.
And,
So
and Lynn, I think
I
I'd
think you've
add,
nailed it.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who your school was at the time, but I think I'd add to that your teacher was probably also crying at the same time, because that was a lot of people's experiences, and it was just the reality for it.
100%.
I mean, one of the things that I like to add to that is the age of your kids is really critical there as well. You know, when we evaluated going online as a school, as Co-Academy, educationally, where do we feel is the most value in the online space? We decided that grade 4 and up is where we feel like that combination of the child's independence, they've got enough executive functioning to be able to really handle the online space well and get the maximum benefit out of the online space. That's why we don't do grade 1, 2, 3. We don't think that the technology and systems are quite there yet for grade 1, 2, and 3 to really effectively be doing those foundational skills of learning to read and write. We still think that those are best done at a physical location. So that's why we start from grade 4 up.
Yeah, I was thinking also you would also need, as a parent, a lot of duct tape, because they're not going to, you're going to, unless you're going to sit there as a parent, hold them in their chair, you're going to have to duct tape them. It's not really going to work.
Yeah.
Especially my
and
son, he just he can't even
too much.
sit at the
My
dinner
boys
table
are the same.
without
And
jumping all over the place.
that's age appropriate, like we think that's age appropriate for that group. What you see from about grade 4 and up is a switch where all of a sudden it's appealing to them to do things like set their own targets in their academics, strive for their goals, do their own executive functioning. We really see them come into their own there, and that's where we really see the benefits of online learning.
Yeah, so here's my next question. So my daughter's now in grade 5, and we haven't done any online learning this year. Please, pandemic. But in grade 4 last year, what I found, which was really stressful, is that when the schools close, we go to online learning, and we're at Curo, and they actually are quite well equipped now. I mean, not as well as an online school, but I think they've kind of adapted and changed stuff. But they stick to the same timetable as they would be in school. So my daughter has to sit there and sit behind a laptop on her own and go from lesson to lesson to lesson to lesson to lesson with 16, 17, 18 kids. And I mean, I sit there and I think, I couldn't do that. As an adult, I couldn't do that. And they've got the breaks the same. And even the break, like she runs to the kitchen, she tries to make a sandwich, she sits down, she eats it, and she's like, runs, and then the screen's all glitchy and she can't hear, or she puts her hand up and the teacher doesn't see, and then she starts stressing and she's like, I've missed where I am, and I started a rule. I said, when it gets too much, because she gets very anxious, and if she feels like she's losing it, then she starts panicking and it's lost. It doesn't matter what you do or say, it's lost. And I'm like, you see that red button? When you get to that point, you push that red button, you go and you watch some YouTube and you just breathe, and then we'll try for the next lesson. So, these experiences for me kind of make it a bit like, how long do they have to sit in a class? And, how many hours in a day?
That's a great question. So, Lynn, what you've described here is a perfect description of a traditional school model presented on a screen. And that's not Co-Academy at all. When we launched COA, one of our catchphrases was, before we tell you what we are, let me first tell you what we're not. We are not school on a screen. Because if you take an old system and present it on a new technology, there is always going to be disconnect, always. We've seen it throughout history. We've tried this in education before, where you've got a physical textbook and then we get iPads in the classroom. We go, great, let's put the textbook on the iPad. Old technology on a new technology. Doesn't work. 2 years later, we're throwing the textbooks back up. Oh, let's get the physical textbooks back in the classroom. So I think the point is, whenever you take old systems and structures and try and present them, mimic them on a new technology, it just doesn't work. The language that you're using, your experience as a parent, and the way you're experiencing, the way that you're describing your child's experience, we sum that up in the word disengaged. The child feels disengaged from their peers. They feel disengaged from their teacher. You feel disengaged from the school. And so we went into this going, We want to make sure that we are harnessing the benefits of online learning in a way that is highly, highly engaging. So we took all of those assumptions about what makes a school, we threw them out the window, and we said, what do we think online learning looks like? And we have things like, we don't have timetables that run across grades. So your child would have an individualized timetable set up just for them. So they're not running maths for the same length and the same time as everybody else in the class. We have things like individualized learning streams, where we place your child on platforms that suit them and lean into their strengths, their interests, their passions. And so they're able to work at their own pace, work on platforms which suit them. And we design their learning specifically for them in the online space, so that when they're engaging with their work online, they're doing it in a way that feels comfortable to them. And you say, how long does my child have to sit in front of a screen? Well, the answer is, how long is your child comfortable to sit in front of a screen? Because we'll design their timetable, their daily rhythm, in a way that suits them, so that they're not being forced into a daily rhythm, a daily pattern, just because it's a generic standard for, the 30, 40 kids in my classroom, and we all have to follow the same rhythms. So that's one of the ways that we really make sure that individualized learning is harnessed in the online space.
Okay, so that brings me into my next thing. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. So I work from home, and the time of the school is the time that I normally work. It's my most productive time. I can't work in the afternoon because my brain does not function. It's like come 12, 1 o'clock, it's like, that's it. There's certain things I do in the afternoon, but it's things that I can cope with in the afternoon. And then also we have one internet connection, and then we have 3 people online, all on video. So like when I need to do my Friday Live, I can't have 2 children on a screen downstairs, like everybody must get off the internet. Otherwise my video glitches and I can't do it. So, what you're talking about there is that we can actually streamline it, not towards only my child, but towards me and my needs as a mother working from home.
100%, Lynn. The phrase that we use often is lean into your child's strengths and suit your family's needs. That's exactly what it's about. And another example of that is term dates. If you're not following a very synchronized one-size-fits-all approach to education, much like traditional education is, then things like term dates aren't actually as necessary as they were before. We can say to families, when does it suit you to go on break? When would you like to have a holiday? When would you like to take some time off? We have families coming to us and saying, hey, my child would really like to do horse riding lessons on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. Is that doable? And we go, yeah, we'll just create that as part of your daily rhythms, as part of your family rhythms. It really is about meeting individual needs.
Okay, so that's fantastic, because also, my kids go to my parents in the holidays. Well, we all go together and we stay at the farm for a period of time. And then my mom cooks and she does all the dishes. Oh, I love it. So I go and I get fed up and I get nourished by my mommy. And then I leave my children there, and I come home for a bit and I get some downtime. So they could actually continue their schooling when we go there, and continue their schooling like my mom could be the teacher. My brain is now ticking.
So it's starting to sound pretty good.
Perfect. Okay, so I can do more farm trips. Awesome. Okay, let me see if there's more. Oh, so yeah, that's the other thing. Like when my kids were doing the online learning, especially with my daughter, because my son wouldn't do much online. They would give workbooks, and he just does so much of his workbook per day. It was actually really, really nice. And then my daughter would be like from 7:45 to 2 o'clock. And I would start praying for load shedding, because if you got load shedding, it's like, I'm so sorry. Damn, we can't go online today. So how do you work with load shedding? So for example, your kids have all got the timetable, and then load shedding comes in, and everybody's got different load shedding messing with their timetables.
Yeah. A really good question. And I think this relates back to what I was describing earlier about us not all following the same timetable every day. And parents often get confused by that and say, well, then how does it actually work? Like, are you just throwing work at my child and then they have to do it on their own? Because that sounds like I'm going to have to become their teacher. So maybe first, let me describe to you a typical day for a child, like how they actually engage with their work, and then load shedding on top of that makes a lot more sense. So we do have regular live moments in the day for the child. We don't want them to be working on their own independently the whole day. And so we've got dotted through the day touch points, connection points, and they're in various styles. The first thing to say about those is that they're all super engaging. So what you described just now about, your child's in a room with 20, 30 kids and all the cameras are off, all the mics are off, the teacher doesn't really know who's there. That's not us. What we're going for is high engagement, so that we cap our classes at 8. There are only 8 children in a room ever. And so that is what we call our pods, and they meet regularly every day. And sometimes they'll meet in a session called Pod Connect. That typically starts off the day. Highly engaging, lots of activities, soft skill fostering, emotional intelligence, collaboration online, all of those things that we want to see still fostered as soft skills. We build those into the beginning of the day. It's not an academically driven session, and the kids really want to show up for that. It's where they connect with their friends and have some fun. From there, what they do is they actually log off from their teacher and they log on to platforms and courses which we have curated and prepared that do the content delivery and the assessment built into the platform. So imagine this, you've got 2 kids in a class together in Pod Connect. They log off from their teacher and they both log on to their platforms. One goes on to maths, one goes on to English. And the platforms can handle them both at the same time on different platforms. The maths child is busy working on maths. Rather than saying to that child, you have to do these 10 questions today. And for one child, it takes him 20 minutes. And for another child, it takes him 3 hours. All we do is we say, we want you to do a certain amount of time on your platforms. Some kids can work faster than others. And our teachers are tracking their progress while the kids are working on their individualized platforms. Our teachers are there tracking their progress, coming in to support them where they need support. So if a child doesn't need support in maths and he's flying, then he just carries on at his own pace. If another child is really struggling with maths, the teacher can come in, one-on-one session, half an hour of what we call teacher time. The teacher says, I can see that you're struggling with ratios. Let's do some of that together. In fact, I know somebody else who's struggling with ratios. Let's have a small group together and let's work this out together. So the teacher is troubleshooting, supporting them academically through the day. That's the teacher's role while the kids are all working on their platforms. The teacher's also updating a live dashboard, which the teacher can see, the child can see, the parent can see. So everybody's aware of the child's progress through the day. We can see them as they're progressing through their work. And the kids are setting targets, saying, in maths, I'd like to achieve this amount of my maths platform. I'd like to get this far in my reading, this far in my comprehension. So they're learning the skills of goal setting. They're achieving those goals. They're feeling self-motivated. They're getting the academic support when they need it, rather than having to follow the same routines as everyone. And then there are other times of the day where they'll meet together with another small group. We call it check-in. And the teacher might say, all right, guys, there are 4 of us together now. Let's do some oral presentations. Or let's connect and let's talk about those tasks that you're doing for your content subjects. Who's got some ideas to share with us? Let's collaborate a little bit on that. And so you have those engagement points. So that's a typical day. Now let's put load shedding on top of it. The dreaded load shedding, and it's hit us hard in the last few weeks. And we haven't been fazed by it at all. Because if it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and if we were doing the old school system of the teacher is the content deliverer, everybody joins the teacher, you've got 30 kids listening to the teacher teaching maths. If 20 kids have load shedding and they drop off, well, they're missing out on that lesson. What are they going to have to watch the recording, or they're going to have to catch up tomorrow? That's a nightmare. So what we say is all of the academics are built into these platforms where you're working at your own pace. So if you have load shedding at 9 o'clock, you're not missing your teacher teaching live. All you're missing is the opportunity for you to be working on your platform. And you can make that up in a few different ways. One of the ways you can make it up is just change your timetable for that day and say, well, I'm going to take a break at 9 rather than at 12:30. That's one of the things you could do. Another thing you could do is just say, I'm just going to make up that missed maths time over the course of the next 2 weeks, because we work in 2-week target sprints. So on a Monday morning, every child meets with their teacher, and the teacher sets individualized targets for every child that's unique to that child in every subject area for the next 2 weeks. And then over the course of those 2 weeks, we're tracking their progress and they're reaching their targets. So if you miss a day or a session because of load shedding, or you're sick is another great example, you don't have to double down the next day. You just have to make sure that over the course of the next 2 weeks, you're evening that out so that you can reach your targets by the end of those 2 weeks.
Okay, so that's fantastic, because my daughter said to me a number of times, she says, Mom, I'm so quick at maths. We have a double period. He explains something. He says, you've got to do all of this. I finish it in 10 minutes and I sit. And then I go to geography and I'm sitting there and I don't get it. And I ask a question and I don't get it. And then I'm too scared to ask again. And everybody's finished. And I'm sitting there and and then she still brings the work home and she says, I don't understand this. And I'm not finished. And everybody finished in school and they started on something new. And then I sit with my daughter. So, I mean, that means like a kid could actually finish the whole year's worth of maths in 3 months. And then they have all that extra time for the stuff they're not so hot at.
Lynn, and that's not theoretical. We're seeing that actually happen at COA. Let me tell you very quickly about two different boys. We had a boy join us in grade 8. His school failed him because he failed maths, and they asked him to repeat grade 8. We said, come to us. You'll go into your grade 9 pod with your grade 9 peers, because that's age appropriate. We want you socio-emotionally to be in your right pod. So we'll place you in a grade 9 pod. You're going to work on all of the subjects that you passed in grade 8. You'll carry on in grade 9. And just for your maths, we'll set you back into grade 8. Your pod don't even know that you're working on grade 8 maths. He was able, in the space of last year, he was able to do this is a child who failed grade 8 maths. He did all of his grade 8 maths, passed it, did all of his grade 9 maths, and passed it within 1 year. And it's just because he was given the opportunity to catch up with his age group. Another child that we currently have, he's in grade 7. He's busy working on grade 9 maths. He's only been with us for a year and a half. And he's already 2 years ahead of his age group. And when he finishes grade 9 maths, it'll probably be towards the end of this year. He's going to go into grade 8, but we're going to let him audit grade 10 maths courses with our subject specialist. So he'll probably end up writing his matric maths a good couple of years early.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay. Yeah. Ooh, so you can have like a 14-year-old finish school. That's fantastic. Okay, so so you've covered the parental input. So I've got something else that I wanted to ask you about the school fees. So you've got grade 4 to 9. I'm just going to pop in a link to your website quickly. So the pricing and everything, how it all works, everything's on the website. So the link is going now into the comments if you want to check that out. So the grade 4 to 9 is $2,950 per month. And I saw that includes absolutely everything. It includes your books and all the stuff you need. Only the stationery you have to buy yourself. And then obviously you need your own device and your own internet connection. I mean, it would be great if you could send us laptops and all of that, but that's a little unreasonable. But now, is that monthly price for per month for 12 months?
Yes. So what we tried to do there, Lynn, is we really don't want there to be any surprises, any oddities. We want it to be as seamless as possible for a parent to both join and leave, which sounds weird. Don't get me wrong. We don't want parents leaving. But what we do want is for parents to have choice. When it comes to education, we really want families to be empowered. We don't think you should be tied in. So we don't do 3-month tie-ins. We don't do long notice periods. It's basically a subscription that you're paying to COA Academy, much like you'd pay a subscription to Netflix. When you don't want Netflix anymore, you cancel your subscription and you stop the next month. That's how we want the ease of access to education for parents to be right there at their fingertips. So we've built all of the costing into a flat monthly fee that just ticks over month by month, 12 months of the year, and you're just paying like a subscription each month. No surprises, no top-ups. The only thing which we ask parents to pay on top of academically is in grade 12, there's an IEB exam fee, which comes at the end of grade 12. Other than that, we don't want parents to be surprised. Textbooks, academic platforms, tutoring time with our teachers, it's all built into that fee and it's all available to our parents.
Well, what comes to my mind is cupcake sales and class parties and tuck shop money and the school uniform. I'm like, these kids grow like blooming weeds. And like our school has got beige pants for boys. what the hell are they thinking? The girls have got navy blue pants and the boys have got beige. I just like every afternoon in winter when summer's cool because the knees are open. But in winter, the knees are closed and the grass stains, and I sit and I scrub. Last year, I scrubbed right through that, scrubbing those grass stains out, and then that cut broke, and then I carefully sewed up that hole, and then I scrubbed all the stitches out. And I'm like, come on! And what happened to socks? My son's blue socks have all gone missing. We had a whole stack of them, and I lost my I don't know, my mojo, and this week, it's the last week of school. I just sent a message to the teacher. I said, he's coming in white socks and tackies until the end of term. All the blue socks.
Deal with it.
They just, I don't know if somebody came to my washing line and only stole all of his blue socks. I don't know what the story is. And it's like $40 a pair. So I'm going to have to buy like 5-7 pairs of socks for next term. I don't understand it. It's
and Lynn,
patience.
don't even get me started on school shoes. When you look at a school shoe and how it's designed, and I mean, you just think of a boy who's in grade 5 and he's being asked to sit at a desk for hours on end and listen to somebody talk to him, which is hard for me to do, and then you put him in these hard, uncomfortable, hot shoes. It just doesn't make sense.
My son walks out the school gate. And I mean, like a meter out the school gate, he puts his bag down, he takes his socks and shoes off, stuffs it in his bag, and then walks to me. He doesn't, it's crazy. And now this week also, my daughter, her school shoes, that whole, the sole comes off. So then I went and I bought this glue from the hardware store. I was told, excuse me, sticks like shit. Apparently this is the stuff. Because I've used super glue, I've used everything to try always stick those soles back on. And I think you need one of those guns for the thing I bought, and I didn't realize that, and I got home, and then I had to sit with a wooden spoon, and I put this thing, and I'm pushing, and I get this glue out. It does stick like shit. It works, but it took me an hour to get the glue out. And my kids are just sitting there watching me thinking, what is this woman doing? So I'm in the drama with the school shoes, and the socks, and I'm done. I'm absolutely done this term. I'm finished. I'm so glad it's a wake-up day. I'm like, this term must end. I don't know what happened. So, yeah. Lebokang, sticks like shit. Sorry.
Sticks like what?
I should have picked it up, but there's a little scar on the eye. So,
Lebokang, I didn't know that was sticky.
No, it's what. Apparently, this will glue anything, and you can even use it on something that's wet. So if your kid comes home drenched in rain with a shoe like this, just stick that stuff in. But apparently, you get in the tube as well. So I didn't get the tube. I got one that's supposed to go in like one of those applicator guns, which, So if you buy it,
sounds serious.
Unless you have one of those applicator guns. So, I think, okay, so I saw somebody commented on one of my platforms. I can't remember where. Kim Muller. I think it might have been on Instagram or I don't know. Anyway, she said she doesn't think her kids will thrive in an online school. Individual attention and interaction, because of the individual attention and interaction that being in person brings. So what have you got to? That's not a comment in this video, but it's something that I just wrote down.
Yeah.
And while you answer that. Oh, I know where she put it. It was on my blog post that I'm now going to put in the comments. Yeah. So there was a blog post that I published, a press release from Koa Academy, and then she commented on that post. So maybe you can address that.
Yes. And this is a really critical question. If nobody had asked this question, I was actually going to bring it up because this is foundational to us. The idea of both academic and social interaction. So first, let me give you a little backstory into the name Koa. A koa, K-O-A, is a type of tree. It's an acacia tree. And the wood of a koa tree is famous for being both strong and flexible, which sounds a little oxymoronic. How can something be both strong and robust and durable and at the same time flexible and adaptive? We use the wood of a koa tree to do things like make musical instruments, because you can shape the wood and then it's solid, it's strong, it's durable. And that's what we want for our school. We want to be a robust academic environment, which is also flexible for our families. And we want that for our kids. We want our kids ending up being robust, strong individuals who are also adaptive in a world of change. So that's the backstory. Out of that comes this idea that whatever we build, this is not a knee-jerk reaction to COVID where we're thrown into online space and now it's old technology on a new technology. We're creating a space which is highly engaging and highly supportive, both academically and socio-emotionally. So let me give you a couple examples there. The key difference here is the pods. Without the pods, this doesn't work. The pods of 8 is the heart of koa. It's what makes all of this possible. If you go into an online space with even 15, 20 kids, which is a small class, if you go into an online space with 15, 20 kids, the cameras are going to be off, the mics are going to be off, there's no engagement, which means two things. Number one, there's not going to be academic accountability. There's not going to be that one-on-one attention where the teacher is coming to each child and giving them the support where they need it. The second thing that's not going to happen is social-emotional development, because the kids aren't interacting with each other. And so because of our pods of 8, we see not only are those things possible, but in my experience as a teacher, I actually find it more possible in this environment to give robust academic support and social-emotional development in a really practical way. I am connecting more with the kids in the pods at Koa Academy in the last couple of years than I've connected with kids in physical schools that I've taught in for years and years and years. And it's because you're spending your time in these highly focused, highly accountable small groups where they're getting the academic support when they need it, and they're also engaging with each other. And we're seeing them develop these soft skills in a really practical way. Kids who in a classroom of 30, think about your child in a classroom of 30, how likely are they to ask for help? How likely are the more quiet kids to like get out there and really voice their opinions and their ideas and their perspectives? Like there are kids who can sit in a physical class of 20 for a whole year and not say a thing. I've seen it in my own physical classes in the past. But in a small group of 8, what's possible there is, firstly, every child feels more comfortable because there are fewer eyes on the screen. And so I feel more comfortable to be myself. I see other people being themselves. And so I relax a little bit and I can contribute myself. The quieter kids get to share more often. They get to contribute more often. And the teacher's much quicker at picking up where there are needs, both academically and socio-emotionally. And so we find that it's a more accountable space. And we're really enjoying the benefits of those small groups.
Perfect. And you've mentioned something. My daughter is a very anxious child. She's a very shy child. My kids are completely opposite. I mean, we go to a birthday party. My daughter sits with me almost to the end sometimes before she kind of like goes in very carefully. My son arrives to one of my daughter's, one of her peers' birthday parties. He has to come because I've got nowhere to put him. And he walks in, he doesn't know anyone. And he's like, I'm here, people.
Yeah.
I've arrived. So my daughter in class, she struggles to ask a question. So what you've said now is that you've got the small pods of 8, but on top of that, you've also got the one-on-one interaction between the teacher and the child on a regular basis, which actually doesn't happen at school. When they're at school, it's the whole class and the teacher. And, there isn't that one-on-one connection all the time. So that would probably benefit my daughter in a huge amount.
Absolutely, Lynn. And from the teacher's perspective, what we traditionally ask teachers to do year after year after year is prepare the same material, deliver the same material, mark the same material. They spend an inordinate amount of time doing admin, class admin. And what KOA is doing is we're saying, we don't want you to be doing all of that. We'll actually design platforms and courses which handle the content delivery and assessments built in. What we want you to do is what you're excellent at, which is facilitate learning. Really be a teacher of children. Connect with kids, understand your kids, know your kids, and know what they need and when they need it. It's like focusing as a teacher, spending my time focusing on preparing and delivering a lesson about rivers. I'm not thinking about my kids, and I'm certainly not thinking about individual kids in my classroom. But if I'm able to set that aside and that's being handled by the platforms and the courses, I can now really focus on the kids.
Perfect. I didn't think you'd get me interested in this.
Are you coming
No,
around?
I'm serious. That maybe came out wrong. What I mean is, like, I just kind of thought the perception that I've had has been very limited to what my experience has been so far. You know, and I must say I'm actually, very,
Intrigued.
very interesting. Yes. So I've got one more question or two more questions.
Yes.
I don't know what that one, I just wrote one word. I don't know what that was about. Oh, okay. So what I'm interested in now is, I mean, there is something special about being in person with somebody, being in person with your friends, being able to,
Yes.
you know, like with boys, give each other a clap. They kind of got to do that, you know. So you've got everything online. I mean, do some of the kids ever like find out that they're in the same area and hook up? Do you create like a yearly camp so the kids can actually, wow, I've seen you on the screen, now I can touch you, you're real? Do you do something like that?
Yes. I mean, if you were to ask us, do we love the online space and what it brings? The answer is yes. We are leveraging the benefits of being online. Virtual engagement, there are opportunities there which are awesome, but we don't think that everything translates well online. That's why we don't try and take things which are only possible in face-to-face interactions and try and recreate them, mimic them online. What we're wanting to do is do online what works online really well. And we're thinking of it as unbundling your education. So you used to think of your school as a bundled one-stop shop for everything related to my child, their learning, their development. And what we're saying to parents is embrace the benefits of unbundling that education and accessing different points of learning for your child in different ways. What we're going to do for you is, firstly, we're going to do an online academic offering, which is robust, that leads to university entrance around the world. Okay, that's a no-brainer. You have to have that. That's level one. On top of that, we're going to be highly interactive in the online space, which means your child is academically supported and socio-emotionally supported. We want your child to be thriving in the online space. Why? Because our kids are digital natives. They were born into a digital world. And if we're not teaching them to be digitally literate, we're setting them up for failure in their future work. Whether their future work is entirely online or not, your child will be engaging with other people online. So they better practice it now. And they better practice from people who know how to teach them how to be digitally literate. After that, we go, okay, now we want kids and families interacting with each other in the real world, face-to-face, in a really meaningful way. And so we do regular events, which are face-to-face, where parents are engaging with other parents in COA, kids are engaging with other kids in COA, not even in COA, outside of COA. I'll talk about that in a moment. But we're helping our families to meet each other and go, oh, you live 5 minutes from me. And straight away, they're doing work dates during the week. I'll drop my kids off at your house this week, and you can have them on Thursday. They can both log in from your house. And then, hey, this weekend, why don't we go to the beach together? So we're seeing that very naturally happen across our families. And like, let me describe a scenario to you that's so crazy. I get so excited about this particular group. We have a family that's in KZN, and they're a part of a sort of cluster of families that come to COA. And a few of them are grouped together and said, let's do regular work dates where we get our kids together and they work in one location. All right. They don't even limit it to COA. They've got kids from numerous online schools who meet together. And what we've said as COA is, we love that idea. Let us know if you'd like us to adjust any of your break times to match your friends' break times. And they're working together, different schools, same location, break time. Hey, let's go jump in the pool. They all go jump in the pool together. Let's play in the garden a bit. Okay, back inside. Let's do some more work at our various online schools. We're loving that parents like that are starting to really embrace the benefits of unbundling their education.
Yeah, perfect. Because, you know, me as a mother, okay, I don't know how to put this, but I mean, I'm online, I've got lots of fans, I come live, it's like, cool. But what about my social life? If my kids aren't at school, where am I going to go find my friends?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I go pick up my kids, I go there, and all the other moms are there, and we have a little natter outside while we wait. And I'm like, thinking,
right. Yeah.
if I don't have that, my social life has just gone from this to like one, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, I've got to think about me as a mom as well.
Absolutely, Lynn. And that's something that we're very mindful of. So we are giving our parents chances to interact with each other. We even do online socials for the parents who live far away. But more than that,
Okay.
we're also encouraging parents at the front end of this, there's going to be a little bit more work for you, where you have to really intentionally ask yourself the question, what works for my family and what works for my child? And let's try and access those opportunities. And what we're seeing is when families embrace that idea of unbundled education and accessing different opportunities, not only do you get that face-to-face interaction, your circle actually grows. Because now you've got your COA circle where you're engaging with other families, other parents, other kids at COA. Your child is also going to a soccer club down the road, which, by the way, I love sports in schools. I'm a big sports fan in schools. COA Academy doesn't do sport because we're online. But man, I love that your child can go to a club or a clinic nearby that is focused on a particular sport. They're going to get excellent coaching there. They're not going to be taught cricket by their geography teacher who just learned the rules on the way to the cricket pitch. They're going to get the best coaching, and your circle is going to grow because now you're interacting with COA circles and you've got your cricket club circles. Your daughter gets involved in a dance studio. Now you've got the dance studio circles. And we're seeing parents really like going, wow, my world is bigger than my school.
Perfect. Okay, well, sports, that was my last question. So I can tick that off. You've covered that. So absolutely fantastic. Okay, so I think, is there anything else you want to add to this?
Lynn, I think you've done all of the main question. Probably the one that you haven't asked, which I get asked a lot by parents, is what about assessments? What happens with assessments? How do you do those?
Yes, an exam. Can't the child do an exam
Exactly,
at home alone? Yeah.
And parents ask for two reasons. They either ask because their child is an anxious test writer and doesn't do well in tests, and they want to know, is my child going to be spending a lot of time writing tests under my supervision as an invigilator? Or the second reason is they want to know, is this actually academically robust? Are we getting authentic results which lead to university entrance? And the answer to both of those is, firstly, in terms of assessment, we really like to do age-appropriate assessment. So if you look at our grade 4, 5, 6 offering, our assessment is built into the platforms, built into the courses. So rather than everybody learning the same science for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then writing a test all at the same time on Thursday morning, what we do is we say you're going to work in your course, and as you work through your course, you're proving mastery. So as you're showing that you understand the work, it unlocks the next part of the course. And when you get to the end of it, it says, right, now go and do a survey over this last course, and then write this quiz when you're ready. And the kids do it in their own time, and they all do it when they get there. It serves it up to them. They do it. The mark gets pulled off automatically. It's low stress, low anxiety, but it's highly effective. As we get a little bit older, we start to formalize the tests a little bit more. We start to teach them things like really practical study skills, how to write an essay by hand. These are critical skills as you're heading towards grade 12 final exams. Our grade 10, 11, and 12 offering, we mimic our final exams as much as possible. So if you're doing business studies in grade 10, then you will write a business studies exam by hand, much like you would in grade 12, because we want our kids to be prepared for those final exams. So it's really age appropriate and really follows the curve of what is going to give us maximum benefit and give us maximum results at the end with grade 12.
Wow, fantastic. Okay. So that is everything covered. Awesome. So let's go into the comments, see what is happening here. Okay, so we've got Leanne. She says, there's so many online school options that it's confusing to know what's best for your child. And what if your child wants to go back to a normal school after a year of online school? Are they behind?
Fantastic question. Leanne, I think that this is something that a lot of parents, particularly coming from physical schools, ask. And I say regularly to parents, I love that there are more options than there have ever been for parents. Like, that's a good thing. But those options can be intimidating, and it's quite hard to understand the difference between the options. and which options are fly-by-night options, which options are actually legitimate. So I would say a couple of things there. The first thing I would say is before you start investigating online schools, before you start browsing their websites, ask yourself the question, what do I value most in my child's education? What is most important to me for my child? And once you've answered that question, then start looking at different options. And you'll see very quickly that there are certain schools whose values align with your values. And that's really important. That probably is an indicator more than anything else that you're going to fit in that school, is that the values, the things that they say on their website, the things that they express, the things that parents are saying about the school fit your values for what you want for your family. That's level one. Obviously, you got to check accreditation. You've got to make sure that they're accredited. I have heartbreaking conversations with parents who've put their kids into tutor centers or online schools which aren't accredited. And 6 months down the line, they find out that this is not an accredited school. And it's just heartbreak for those parents because they think, well, what have I been spending money on and time on over the last few months? So you want to make sure that they're accredited because that gives you a certain confidence that this is a legitimate school that I can invest in. And then after that, I'd say try and engage with them. This is a really good test of an online school to see whether it would be a good fit for you, is reach out to them and just see what happens. If they engage back with you, awesome. Try and have conversations with them, ask them lots of questions. What you don't want is to be sort of treated as a face in the crowd where actually your needs aren't known. You really want to know that you can engage with that school and that they can hear you and they can engage back with you. Second part of your question here, what if your child wants to go back to normal school? This is a no-brainer. What I said earlier about wanting to give parents ease of transition, this is what I meant. You should not be bound by a type of schooling. If you want to transition from online schooling to physical schooling to homeschooling, you have the flexibility and freedom, you should, to do those things. So when it comes to Koa Academy, we make sure that everything that we do is aligned to the Department of Education minimum requirements. We do that very subtly in the background. You don't have to worry about that. We take care of all of that. We publish school reports every 6 months. We can publish them on demand for you. And so if you get to the end of the year, heck, if you get to halfway through the year and you think, I actually think I want my child back in a physical school, you just make the transition back into a physical school. Koa Academy publishes a school report for you. School reports along with transcript with all of their marks from all of the assessments that we pulled off from their work. And you take that in and you can apply for a physical school like you would with a transcript from another school.
Perfect. So here's a kind of similar question. We've got Lebogang asking, does online schooling do the same syllabus as normal school?
Lebogang, this is a really tricky question for a lot of parents to try and wade through of the different options when it comes to syllabus, or let's call it curriculum. In South Africa, your options are either to do CAPS or an international curriculum. Okay. When we talk about IEB, so Koa Academy belongs to the IEB, which is the Independence Exams Board. What that means is we still follow CAPS. CAPS is just referring to the underlying content. All South African schools have to follow that content. Now, nobody likes how CAPS is taught in the traditional NSC route. And the reason for that is it's very content heavy, very assessment heavy. What we love about the IEB is that the IEB has a different approach to how we teach that content and how we assess that content. It's a lot more application-based. It's a lot more about critical thinking. It's a lot more open-ended in terms of its questions. And particularly in grade 4 to 9, the IEB gives us more flexibility in how we approach the subjects. So just blow your mind for a second here. When your child goes to Koa Academy, their timetable doesn't say science for this long, geography for this long, history for this long. They do tasks which combine those subjects in different ways so that they're seeing real world connections through the subjects in an integrated approach, but we're still pulling marks out of individual subjects. So we have the flexibility to really rethink how we're teaching the syllabus. But the bottom line answer to your question is yes, online schools do follow the same syllabus as any other school in South Africa. We're accredited by the IEB, and the IEB in turn are accredited by Umalusi. And Umalusi is the same accrediting body that has to accredit all South African schools, whether they're physical or online.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got a lot of questions along the same lines, which I think you've answered everything. Kelly's asking, does the government see this as a qualified and accredited center so they can go back into the stream if need be? So the answer to that is yes. Do you have anything else to add to that?
Can I clarify just quickly for Kelly? There's an interesting divide here that Kelly should be aware of, and that's between grade 9 and grade 10. We often think of the great divide in school as being from junior school to high school, so grade 6 or 7 to grade 7, 8. But actually, the great divide is from grade 9 to grade 10. Legislatively, if your child is grade 9 or lower, then they're considered a homeschooler. So if you were to sign up with Koa Academy would be a service provider for you as a homeschooling family. And the Department of Education would recognize you as a homeschooling family, and we would be providing you with all of the resources and teaching. And so we would publish reports which other schools would recognize as being aligned to the Department of Education. But legally, you are recognized as a homeschooling family. As soon as you hit grade 10, that falls away. And at grade 10, when you register with Koa Academy, we register your child's details directly with the IEB, and we deal with the IEB on behalf of you. So you no longer register as a homeschooling family from grade 10 and up. We then register you with the IEB directly.
Oh, I'm so glad that I didn't skip that question, because I thought it was this, the same. So a lot of them, there's a lot of questions that are very similar. So I'm going to pop them up just in case there's anything that comes
Perfect.
up. Lynn Jansen van Rensburg says, what syllabus do you use?
Yeah, so again, we are IEB, Independent Exams Board, and we follow the South African curriculum.
Oh, Lebogang, can you name them? I don't know what that refers to, but if you just tell me what you want me to name, I'll pop that in. Oh, yeah, Lebogang, cake sales, Entrepreneurs Day, Civies Day, and then you get all these other days that's thrown in, like Funny Hat Day, Christmas Hat Day. I want to know, when we had Christmas Hat Day last year, where the hell do the Christmas hats go? Because then Christmas hats this year, where are the Christmas hats? So every year you've got to go and buy new Christmas hats, and then you have Entrepreneur Day and you get all the stuff, and your child still wants to be the same thing next year, but where is the outfit you bought for last year? Where does all the stuff go? I mean, there's a black hole somewhere that just sucks my blue socks and my Christmas hats and all sorts of things. My scissors go there too. I don't know. There's just certain things that get sucked into these black holes. And I mean,
there's land
so many fun
these things
as well. And I'm like, I've paid my school fees. I've paid my school fees. I've bought my books. I've done all of this. So what I like is that you said you've got the set fee, and you know exactly what it covers. But there's so many of these other little expenses that come into it. That just, it seems like it's just thing upon thing upon thing, and then I draw like a grand cash, and I'm like, okay, I've got enough cash for the month for pocket money and this and that. Next week, I'm like, my daughters can have $20 for something. I'm like, I don't know where it's gone. There was this, all these events, and then you're just putting all this money in envelopes, and the next week it's gone. It drives me crazy. Yeah, the sock monster. Oh.
Funny.
Okay, we've got Deshni. This is a long one. I got called into for a school meeting a few days back saying my daughter in grade 1 is finishing her work so quickly and is advanced for accounts group and getting bored, and I should consider her going into the grade 2 group. But she's unsure about the decision to make. If she can cope academically, does it mean she'll also cope emotionally? Will she battle along the line? Always being with older kids, be it academics or on the sports field, etc. The system program seems perfect. But I think that comment was cut off to the space limit on StreamYard. That's the first time I've seen that.
Well done, Deshni. So that's a really good question. To be honest, that is a question specifically for you to navigate with your school. I wouldn't want to presume to know you or your child well enough to answer that question. This is something that you really need an educator alongside you as the parent, knowing your child to make that decision. There are situations where moving a child ahead is good. There are situations where moving a child ahead does not necessarily suit them in the long run. I can't answer that question, unfortunately, without knowing your child better.
Yeah, I think on that note, I think my kids sometimes feel not left behind academically, and they're very sharp and emotionally mature and all of that. But my son is born on the 20th of December, and my daughter's on the 29th of October.
Mm,
And so especially with my son, I had that decision: do I put him in grade 1 when he's 6, or do I put him in grade 1 when he's 7 already?
yeah.
And I started school at 5 and I finished at 17. And I'm like, you guys are sharp. You must just get in there and get on with it. But I do notice, like, my son often looks at me and says, Mom, I'm the smallest in the whole class, even out of the girls. And I'm like, but you're the youngest, and
Yeah.
so I sometimes wonder, how the age thing works. And then, like there's one boy that was kept back. And I think a boy was kept back a few years in my daughter's grade as well, from the previous year back into, so that he became in her class. And I think, that always, I feel my heart bleeds for any child that's kept back. But I think also being put forward, I think it's very out of joint. So this is not something that you have an issue with in your school.
No, I mean, one of the things that we're really excited about is the distinction between what Deshni was talking about earlier, the idea of academics and socio-emotional development, where in traditional schooling, where you're bound to your year group, you have to pick. And maybe what would be best academically is not best socio-emotionally, but you have to pick. You're bound by, you're either in that grade or you're in this grade, which means you're either with that age group doing those academics or this age group doing these academics. You don't get to say, well, actually, this is a very mature child, socio-emotionally, who should be doing work from a previous year. Or this is a child who's not socio-emotionally very developed, but actually, academically, they're ready for next year's work. So we can serve up their next year's work without pushing them into the next year's grade.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So let's see what else we got. Janelle, her son wears gray, but always comes with a different shade of gray socks. And how does that work? You buy all the socks, you put them in the wash, they come out, and one is like a dark navy and the other one is like a faded navy. But it's the same pair of socks. And then they wear it, it looks, I don't know. Okay. Kelly wants to know, is COA university accredited so they can go into university after matric?
A very good question, a very necessary question, particularly if you know where your child wants to end up. Again, I'd love to have a conversation with you, Kelly, specifically about what you're looking at. There is no one-size-fits-all answer to this. I will say what I can about the IEB, which is step number 1, automatically accepted to any South African university. So all South African universities recognize the IEB. Just like they would recognize any matric certificate. There's no distinction in the universities. When it comes to international university, when you say universally accredited, I think what you're meaning here is, are they recognized outside of South Africa? The answer is yes. The IEB is recognized outside of South Africa. There are currently IEB graduates at many international universities, which you would recognize, Brown, Harvard, Yale, universities, top universities like that. But the question really is there a particular university and a particular degree that you want your child to do in university? In which case you may need to investigate with that specific university whether the South African IEB qualification would be accepted or not.
Perfect. This one's for you, Mark. Tanya says you're so funny.
I think Tanya means you. I think that's you, Lynn.
Deshni. Her sister tells her every term she has to place her son's lunchbox, water bottles, sports khakis. I hear you. My son breaks, and I buy these nice, expensive metal ones, that are like supposed to be bulletproof. They're not 8-year-old boy proof. They only last a term. And then you buy like $150, $180 for a bottle. And I mean, you add that in, that's $200 a term. That's 800 Rand a month, a year, 2 kids, add on another 1.6. And that's just for water bottles. And if you buy plastic, you can just buy like 30 in a month. It's absolutely
Don't get me
terrible.
started on water bottles.
Yeah, you know the feeling. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Pusaletso. This is interesting, and she'll have to try this with her daughter because sometimes she is very slow. And I think this is the thing: is I don't think a child is necessarily slow. I think children have different aptitudes. So my daughter came to me, she's like, "I'm so slow on this subject. I'm so slow. I'm stupid. Everybody else is so quick." I said, "Sure. In history or geography, sorry, sweetheart, that's my fault. You get that from me. But she's so sharp at maths, and you're not going to get a child that is great at absolutely everything. They're going to have stuff they're good at, some stuff that they're not so good at. And so they're going to fly at something and they're going to be a bit slow at something. And I think like Mark, like you said, it's nice to be able to let the child go at their own pace with the things, with certain things. So,
absolutely.
It's a lot of
leaning
time
into their own strengths and then also accessing platforms which suit them. What you might find as well is that a child thrives in a particular type of learning and not another. And so it might not even be maths that's the challenge. It might just be how maths is being taught that the child is struggling with.
100%. I remember, I think it was my son was struggling to understand a concept, and I sat here and I explained it one way, and then he just blank. And then I tried to explain it another way, blank. And this went on for the whole afternoon. My husband came home and I said, I'm struggling with this, to do the homework. And he sat there, I think he said 3 words to my son. He goes, "Oh, like that." Yeah. Done. And I'm like, really, I sat
where were you?
So I think, yeah, clearly not my strong point, So, I think, finding a way that the child understands and the different learning, methods is a big thing. Perfect. Let's see what else we got. There we go. Do you think I thought online schooling was bad? No, I've learned a lot.
I'm glad.
Yeah, Jezebel. Children are so afraid to ask questions because they just think, what if the other kids laugh at them? I always tell my child it's always best to ask a question, even if it's right or wrong, at least you tried.
Jezebel,
100%.
can
my
I
daughter's
just
terrified of asking.
Yeah, I'm terrified of asking questions. But what's interesting is that little kids are not. So very, very little kids will ask anything to anyone, even if it's super inappropriate, because they haven't learned to be afraid of asking bad questions. And so we teach kids, and unfortunately, the traditional education system does teach kids to be afraid of asking bad questions, getting things wrong, failing. And what we're loving, particularly at COA, in the way that we're addressing our work, is it's mastery-based, not achievement-based. Now, you still end up getting achievement. You still end up getting great marks. But the way that you get there is different. See, a traditional model is we're going to learn maths for 5 weeks. You're going to write a test. If you get 40% for that test, shame on you. You failed. We're moving on. No chance to go back. No chance to redo that section and gain confidence. No chance to master that work. We're going on to the next topic. And guess what? You're going to get 40% for that as well. And you're going to go on to next year, having only 40% covered in the previous year. You're going to get bigger and bigger gaps. The way that we do our work on those platforms, as I described earlier, a child will engage with a concept. And if they haven't understood the concept, it'll loop them around. It'll say, would you like to watch another video on that? Would you like to read some text on it? Would you like me to answer the question for you that you just got wrong? Child says, yes, please. It unpacks it for them, shows them a quick video. Would you like to try again? Yes, please. They try again. Maybe they get it wrong again. Would you like to try again? Yep. Or they get it right. Well done, you got that right. Let's move on to the next one. That's mastery-based learning. And what that teaches a child is if you get it wrong, that's okay. You're going to learn. You're going to learn how to get it right the next time. And you see kids who come into the system terrified of maths, because they've been taught not to get things wrong, and they get things wrong regularly. And they do this mastery-based approach, and the confidence just grows. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, maths isn't that actually that hard. I just have to learn.
I think that's fantastic. And my daughter is terrified of getting stuff wrong. And, she'll get 70% for a test and come home and not want to show it to me because you have to sign each assessment. and she doesn't want to show it to me. And I'm like, no, I was terrible at school. I didn't study at all. Don't tell my kids. But I mean, I would have killed for 70%. You know what I'm saying? But they've got this such huge fear of failure, and she does so well, but she still thinks she's a failure. It's really hard sore.
Yeah.
Cool. We've got Janelle asking, well, academics are channeled at learning. Is there a fun factor? How are challenges that are identified handled, and also assuming smaller classes, more attention? Are there more assessments?
Okay, there's a few questions packed into this question. I like that, Janelle. You've managed to ask a few things here. So, is there a fun factor? Heck yes. Fun is hugely important to me as a principal, and our staff are well trained in the art of fun. So we spend a lot of time every day having fun with the kids. We really want them to have a good time. We obviously want it to be academically robust, and so we are challenging them, and we are stretching them, and we are growing them. But at the same time, we want them to feel really comfortable in their space. And so we're doing a lot of things that develop those social-emotional skills through fun activities. How are the challenges that are identified handled? Fantastic question as well. I think this is something else that maybe is unique about the mastery-based approach. If you think about a child in a normal system, you can go for 3-4 months, write a test, and only then get the flag as the parent that they're struggling with something. Whereas the way that we're working with these targets, with this mastery-based approach, you'll know on the day that your child struggled with something because you'll see they fall behind in their target. So you'll know straight away as the parent, we'll know straight away as the school. The teacher will meet with them the next morning and say, hey, I see on your maths platform, looks like you were struggling with something yesterday. Do you need some support in that today? Why don't we book a one-on-one teacher time? And then that teacher time is available. It's a half-hour session, one-on-one or a small group. And so we're actually able to identify those challenges very quickly and address them while they're happening, rather than end of the term, here's your report. Sorry, you got 30% for maths, but we're moving on. And then, yes, smaller classes, more attention, absolutely. Those small classes are highly accountable. Is there more assessments? That's an interesting question. I would say that the assessments are very different. So when you say, are there more assessments? If you're thinking a traditional style test, then no, there are far fewer of those. Our assessments are built into the platforms. So the children are doing the assessments as they get to those parts of their courses. They feel a lot more native to the online space. They're a lot less intimidating, especially for the younger age groups. And so they're getting used to evaluating their own work. We make feedback a big part of what we do at COA. So anything that the child produces to their teacher, they get verbal feedback as well as written feedback with the teacher. So they're learning to evaluate their own learning rather than just get a mark. And then as they get a little bit older, the assessment style becomes a little bit more traditional until, as I said, grade 10, 11, 12, we have a fairly traditional approach to assessments because we want them to be ready for their matric exams.
Fantastic. I hate exam time. My daughter has exams and my heart starts clenching like this, you know, and all the other moms are like, we're studying already. And I'm like, it's 4 weeks till exams. Why aren't we studying?
Yeah.
You know?
No, everyone stresses about exams. Yeah.
Oh, it's awful. Okay, here we go. Rashika. The thing she sees in schools is that teachers have a box, and if your child does not fit in the box, they are a problem.
Yeah. I mean, Rashika, this is a classic scenario where we're teaching to the middle and it's very teacher driven. And so from the teacher's perspective, if I'm in a classroom where I've got 30 kids and I'm needing to get through a curriculum, I'm needing to get assessments done, I've got a limited time to do it. I actually need all 30 kids to be doing the same thing at the same time in the same way. And if a child is outside of that, it actually makes my job difficult. And so that what you're experiencing there is not necessarily the teacher problem, it's the system problem. And that sort of system, that sort of setup forces teachers to teach to the middle. And if you're teaching to the middle and asking everybody to follow, you are going to have outliers who find that very challenging, which makes the teacher find it very challenging. So the problem really there is the education, the way that we do education needs to change.
Awesome. So this is just sparked for me another question I'd like to know about, and this is something that I haven't had personal experience with it, but this is something that a lot of my fans have brought up, and a lot of discussions online and about school. And this is that a lot of teachers have recommended to parents and said, like, your child might have ADHD. Do you want to like pop a bit of Ritalin in there? Which, and I think that sometimes is the child doesn't fit in the box, therefore maybe the child has ADHD and you should go and medicate your child, which I think is, I think your system would kind of eradicate that issue. But also what I'm interested in is, do you have children with ADHD, dyslexia, any of that stuff, and how do you cope with that?
That's a great question, Lynn. This is something that we get asked often, particularly in our environment, which is quite flexible, is what about learners with special educational needs? Now, there are a whole host of special educational needs, and they vary greatly. And even if you just look at a child who has ADHD, they might present and work very differently to another child with ADHD. I want to start by saying Koa Academy is not specifically set up to handle learners with special educational needs. We are not an LSEN school. We don't have teachers who are specialized in dealing with learners with special educational needs, but a lot of the platforms that we use, we have run through specialists who work with learners with special educational needs. We've contracted a teacher who's based in Norway to have a look at our systems, our structures, our platforms, and go through them from the perspective of learners with special educational needs. And the feedback from her has been, even though you're not specifically set up to handle it, most of these platforms and just the nature of the small groups is going to lend itself very nicely to a wide array of educational needs. And so we do at Koa have many learners who've been previously diagnosed in schools with ADHD and a whole range of things. We've got children on the autism spectrum, sort of high functioning. And what we're seeing is two things. Firstly, like I said, the platforms, the systems, the structures lend themselves well to educational needs. But more importantly, we're able to partner with parents and set the system up in a way that suits the child. So we can have a child who needs in-person physical support, but they love engaging with Koa. And so parents are saying, well, how about we get a tutor for 3 hours a day? Or how about we get Gran, who actually doesn't need to know the academics because Koa knows the academics. We just need somebody to sit next to the child, coach them, prompt them, encourage them, guide them. And so we're able to partner with families and go, what exactly does your child need? How do we access that for them? This is what we can provide as a school. What can you provide as a family? And how do we adjust what we're offering to fit what you need?
Perfect. And I see Jolene now wanted the same question. So it did come up. Fantastic. Okay, so Mark has to leave. I only promised him 30 minutes. And look, he's taken like an hour and 12 minutes. No, but
It's been fun.
This was absolutely fantastic. So anybody that needs to get any more answers to questions, please, I have put the link to Koa Academy into the comments. I'm going to pop it in again. So I'm just going to whack it over there. If there are any questions that have not been answered, please contact Mark or Koa Academy directly and get your questions answered. Mark, thank you so much. This has been absolutely incredible. And I started off, I said to you, I think yesterday or the day before, that if you can convince me, you can convince anybody, because I've got this, there's just a lot of stuff that I wasn't sure about and that I would not be that keen to do it. But now after this discussion, I think that this is a very, this is something I could actually do. And I'm surprised.
I'm really glad to hear that, Lynn. And I think as I close off, I think I'd really like to say to all the parents who are listening, who are in a similar position, keep engaging with what's happening in education, because there are the changes that are happening in education now. I get goosebumps when I think about it as an educator, because for 50 years, 60 years, we haven't seen significant change in education, but we're starting to see shifts in education now. And I'm really excited about specifically what we're doing at Koa, but just more in general. And I want to encourage you, whether you're interested in Koa or anything else, keep engaging, keep pursuing it. It's a daunting world as a parent to ask questions like, am I setting my child up for future success? So be kind to yourself, go easy on yourself, but keep pursuing it, keep engaging.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mark. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll catch up with you soon.
I appreciate it, and thank you, everybody else. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. Wow, that was pretty awesome. So I want to remind everybody to don't forget to go and head over to Instagram, where you can go and follow me, chat, and comment on my posts. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all the questions. Like I say, I only bookmarked for 30 minutes. And there were so many questions coming in and so much stuff going on. It was really, really educational and lots of information. So let's have a look. I've got something also very exciting to do today. I got a box from Cadbury's, and it's Easter coming up. So I think I know what's going to be in this big box. So here's my box. Boom. Like when Cadbury sends you a box and it's this big, it's like happy, happy days. Oh, now I've got to get a grip on this somewhere and open this up. I had to go hunt for my scissors now. My kids have had, once again, stripped all my stationery. Ooh, big one. Let's see here. Oh, and lots of bubble wrap. I love it. I don't know about you ladies, but I've got such a passion for bubble wrap. It's really, really soothing. No wonder the pop-ups for the kids are so popular. Rid of that. Okay, worldwide hide. Time for them to find their egg. When they've received your special clue, they can start searching for their Cadbury Easter egg on the map. Wish them luck. The world's a pretty big place. Oh, it's so cool. So let's see what's inside. Oh, I got a Cadbury bunny. That is so cute. My kids are going to love this. Well, more like they're going to fight over it. So what I've got here, Fluffy in Africa, Easter adventure stories. The exciting Cadbury Easter range is back. I do have a press release to publish. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. So that will be up early next week. I've got, oh, this is fantastic. Some of these little white eggs. I love these. Fluffy chocolate covered mallow eggs, pack of 12. Oh, yeah, we're going to have a good Easter. And this is going to really help my pocket. A couple of these. Ooh, I think I'm going to eat these before my kids get home. Cream egg. Yum. Ooh, a hollow egg, milk chocolate egg with Astros inside. My son loves Astros. Ooh, one with whispers. I like whispers. Now I've got to see, can I keep these for my kids? Ooh, Cadbury Dairy Milk Top Deck Bunnies. Oh, this is so cute. Look, there's a little bunny on each block. Oh, that is gorgeous. And I get a box of Cadbury Fluffies chocolate-covered marshmallow eggs. My Easter egg shopping doesn't even have to happen this year. I'm so excited. So, yeah, you can go down to the shops and grab yourself some of these really cool Easter chocolates from Cadbury's. Fantastic. Thank you, Cadbury's. I am super, super chuffed. This is absolutely fantastic. And I've got to pack it all away and hide it for my kids, so that they think I went and bought everything myself, or the Easter Bunny brought them. Awesome. This is a lovely score. Thank you, Cadbury's. Fantastic. Sure, so many comments. I'm going to have to come back and chat to you ladies about this. Sure, so much interest in the online schooling. That is absolutely amazing. Tanya, you don't even need to shop for Easter. I mean, that's my Easter stuff done. I can totally tick that off my list. I don't have to go and buy a thing. Fantastic. And it's such gorgeous things as well. Yeah, I also love Cadbury's. Absolutely fantastic. Livergan, whoop, whoop. Yes, totally. Tanya, amazing. A very good box. Oh, yeah, it is absolutely fantastic. Deshni, hide it away from the kids and save it for Easter. Definitely. They don't know this has arrived, and I've kept it that way. So, yeah, that is really awesome. Alina, that's always the question I ask myself when I buy chocolate. Should I share with my son or not? Yeah, you see, this is a very big box. I can eat a little bit before they before they get out of school today. Yeah. Tanya, you love the Cadbury eggs more than the Beacon. Yeah, awesome. Rashika, you love the white eggs. Yes, me too. And you love the fluffy marshmallows. I hate marshmallows, but the marshmallow eggs I love. It is fantastic. Tanya, that's adorable. I think you mean the bunny. Yeah. Kelly, you've got 5 pairs of scissors and you can't find them. Yeah, I had to go hunt for the scissors before the live video because I knew I'd have to cut that open. It was nearly down to like me doing it with a bread knife or something. Oops. Awesome. So yeah, we're going to have a very, very exciting, happy chocolate Easter. Annalise, you buy chocolates for everyone, so in that way you don't have to share your own. Yeah, I like to eat my chocolate at night when my kids are asleep or when they're at school. That's like my happy thing. Don't eat them all before Easter, says Tanya. I'll try. Okay. So now my kids are getting out of school now. My brother-in-law is picking them up. So I've got to get on with my live video. So off from Cadbury's and on to weight loss. Oops, that's not going to help me at all. Anyway, so last week I spoke about my weight loss. I've lost 9 kilos since last year. I've been on a mission to lose weight. So last week in my video, I said I weighed 73 kilos. And this week I weigh 73 kilos. I go up 100 grams, I go down 100 grams, but I've and I wonder, like what I found before is I often try to lose weight and then it seems like I'll lose a little bit and then I get to a point and I kind of stick there. So I don't know if I've hit like a little plateau, but I think I must just keep going and keep trying and yeah, just not eat the whole box of Cadbury chocolate in one go and keep up my exercise, keep up my walking, and hopefully it'll get better. I'm going to the farm later today in Swellendam, my parents' farm, so I should be exercising a lot more. It's so beautiful there. It's 360 or 380 hectares, lots of walking space. So yeah, awesome. So the next thing I want to just quickly chat about, and I put a post up on Facebook, and I put a post, it went up on Facebook and on Instagram, but I'm just going to share my Instagram post. I'm going to pop that in the comments here so you can come and join in the discussion. How often do you deworm your kids? So I know that I should be deworming my family every 6 months. I know the theory, but I often drop the ball. And previously I've had I see my kids are like scratching their bum. And then I'm like, oh crap, I have to deworm. When did I do it last? And I realize it's been a year, not 6 months or something. This time was slightly different. My 10-year-old came to me on the weekend and she said, Mom, it's time to deworm. And I said, oh, really? Do you keep track of how often I do it? Because I can't remember when I did it last. She goes, no, Mom, but there's worms in my poo. And I'm like, it's definitely time to deworm. I'm sorry. So, mummies, we should be deworming every 6 months. From the age of 12 months old, you need to deworm every 6 months. And it is every single person in your family, including fur babies. So, you deworm your cats, your dogs, all the adults, all the children. You just, when you go to the pharmacy, you just tell them how many adults, how many children. Obviously, the deworming for the pets you get from the vet, or I think you can get it from the supermarket as well. But yeah, you need to deworm everybody at the same time because you can spread the worms between the family and between pets and stuff. So I dropped the ball, but you don't have to. So there's your reminder. You don't have to drop the ball because I did it. And I will remind you all to deworm. So yeah. Deshni, she does it every 8 months or so, but she sometimes loses track and forgets. Yeah, same here. So yeah, get that done. If you haven't dewormed for the last 6 months, go out there, get yourself some deworming tablets or some syrup. I use the syrup for the kids. I know there's some that takes, it's multiple doses. So you, I think the previous time I got the cheaper dose for the kids, which was 2 days. But since the worms were sighted, I asked for the 1 dose for the children. So we all got 1 dose. I wanted to hit it fast and not wait 2 days. Kelly, will this live stream be on the page so your hubby can watch? Yes. Let me just give you a link. If you go onto my Facebook page, you'll see there's a section for live videos. So I'm just popping that in the link. So all my live videos, you can find at that link. So it will be the one that's scheduled for next week, which I'll put up sometime soon. And then you can also see all the past live videos at that link. And also I publish a weekly blog post, which is the theme of the video. So it's my weekly video, whatever I'm busy working on. So the topics of this video will be in that blog post, and that goes out via newsletter on Monday morning. Sometimes it's Monday afternoon because sometimes I'm a bit slow on the weekend. But yeah, so it can be in my blog post, the video, and it will also be on my page. If you go to my YouTube channel, my live videos are, you can also watch it from YouTube. So I don't know where my YouTube channel is. I'm just going to find my YouTube. Now I can't find where I am. YouTube. Over there. So all my live videos are streamed to my Facebook page and my YouTube channel. So you can go grab it there as well. Perfect. Rashika, it's your first live. You're at work and can't normally watch. Thank you for all the information. Awesome. I'm glad you could join in. You can also, like I said now, you can go and catch up. So yeah. Perfect. What was I on? Deworming. Yeah. Okay. Next thing, giveaways on my website. I've got the giveaway to win a 500 Rand P&A voucher is still going. And I think that ends on Monday. I think Monday is the last day to enter for the P&A voucher. And then I've got another one where you can win an instant pot. So I'm putting that one into the comments quickly. And then my latest giveaway that I published, I think it was yesterday. You can win, I've got 3 Sonic the Hedgehog 2 hampers to give away. So Sonic the Hedgehog 2 comes out on the 1st of April. So that's kind of, you know, to get excited about that. Perfect. Butters, Y-Sense. Okay. So as you guys know, if you've been watching my live videos, I absolutely love making money through Y-Sense. It's making money through completing surveys, completing online offers, and playing online games, and of course, referring people. So if you want to know how to earn a bit of a side income, I don't know what I make. Let me go, I'll show you my screen. Share screen. Oh, and I can't share screen because it's not up. Wait, Let me go find it. Let's see. Okay, now I can share. Share screen. Share screen. Chrome tab. So I'll tell you what I've made this month. So this month I have not been very busy on YSense because it's just been a crazy, crazy month. So I've made, if you look here, $62.54. And last month I made $131. And for this year I've made $355, which is probably roughly 5,000 Rand for the year. So it's not bad for a side income. You can cash out via PayPal, Payoneer, Amazon gift card. A lot of people ask me how much money have I cashed out from YSense. I have cashed out all the money I've earned from YSense. So my available balance now is $36.74. So I can cash that out if I want to. But my lifetime total that I earned highlighted there is $1,984. That's over 30,000 Rand. I cashed out all of it except for the $36 that's available here. So if you want to know how to make money through YSense, you can click on the link to my review and go check it out. It'll explain to you how everything works, including cashing out. And then I've also done another post after after publishing my review. I wrote another post, which is ways to earn more through YSense. So I learned a lot of tips and tricks along the way, and all of that is shared on that post. Tanya says on YSense is a new offer which she's been doing to use the talent search and search for a job. I saw that, Tanya, but I haven't actually done it. Oh, and there's something also really exciting. Who was it? Oh, it's you, Tanya. I made a note. So what's really exciting and what's something that makes me really, really happy is that Tanya and a number of other people have been sharing with me how much money they've made and sharing with me when they do their first cash out, for example. And Tanya has earned her first $100 on YSense. And I'm like, I'm so happy I could share that with you and that you could earn some money. It really is exciting. So yeah, it made me happy when you guys share your success with me. I know a lot of people struggle to earn in the beginning with YSense, but it really, really is worthwhile kind of sticking with in the beginning and pushing through, and then you'll start seeing the results coming in, which is really, really fantastic. Cool. So yeah, my kids are finishing up now. They finished school. My brother-in-law's already picked them up. I just have to go and fetch them from his house when I'm finished my video. And then I'm driving to Swellendam, and I'm going to go have a fantastic little break with my mum. Cool. So, Janelle, I am choosing you as my winner of the 250 Rand Checkers virtual voucher. Please inbox me on my Facebook page with your email address and your phone number, because it gets sent to your phone number. I've got to pack, I've got to fetch kids, I've got to drive to Swellendam. I probably won't come back to you today or maybe even tomorrow, but I'll get back to you definitely by Monday to organize your virtual voucher. So just pop me an inbox and I will get to you as soon as possible. Ladies, thank you so much for joining today. Especially, I really, really love this live video. Mark Anderson is absolutely fantastic. Koa Academy sounds really, really cool. And I've been doing quite a bit of work with Koa Academy for a while, but it's the first time I've really had a chance to connect with Mark and to go in depth into everything that they offer. And it sounds really something I could actually do. So yeah, if you have any more questions for Mark that weren't answered during the live video, please just pop him an email and get your answers. And I'll catch up with you all next week. I'll publish my weekly blog post as soon as I can. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.